Ezra Miller. Cross the name off.
Because you just can't help it.
We can't. Well, I wasn't going to cover this.
Well, he can't help it.
Yeah, this is his fault, not mine.
I think he could help it.
The Flash star Ezra Miller is seeking treatment for complex mental health issues.
I love the idea that finally he was like, you know what?
I do got some issues.
Maybe I should.
See, but does that mean it's like authentic? Like I feel like it's always
No.
just like he has a lawyer who's like, please, this is the only way to try and get you out of your multiple issues.
So there was a statement made where they said that Warner Brothers basically had three options. One is Ezra Miller admits that he's been screwing up. They've been screwing up. No, I can't respect.
I think he uses both. He uses they, them, and then he.
So
they is just because they've gone to so many states so fast. It's like there are multiple Ezra Millers committing crimes.
So the idea here was that Ezra Miller admits that he has been screwing up and says that he's going to seek therapy, and then they can release the movie as planned. Option number 2 was he keeps screwing up and they can release the movie as planned but not use him in the marketing push. That's a very, very hard sell.
Yeah.
Option 3 was they scrap it all together. The movie cost over $200 million before marketing. There was never any way, shape, or form that was happening. Sorry, Batgirl.
And this is the same. Yeah.
Sorry, Batgirl.
I like option D, where they bring a bunch of random young teens and some stolen alcohol to a house and lure Ezra Miller there and then trap him while they try and get this like promotion off the ground.
You wanted to catch a predator, Ezra Miller.
Wouldn't that be so great?
Where he's like, I'm here, and you have the camera.
And you say something that he thinks is going to be appropriating cultures.
And then Chris Hansen comes like from behind the curtain.
But no, I like the idea that it's like, I like the idea that it's like the game Mousetrap and then the thing falls on him.
Yeah.
So it says the Flash star Ezra Miller says they are seeking treatment for complex mental health issues. In a statement,
complex indeed.
In a statement provided to Variety by a representative of the actor, which makes this the most hollow apology in the history of all hollow apologies.
Yeah, geez, the hired person who was paid money to write a lie.
Miller broke their silence about the troubling behavior that they have exhibited in the recent years, which has led to a series of legal issues, assault, abuse allegations. Miller also apologized for their actions. I think they should apologize for me having to constantly change how I speak.
You chose to do this.
So real quick, I'm not. I don't like being gleeful about someone's cancellation. I think that
they're not canceled.
No.
That's
So that's what I was gonna say. I think that, you know, even when talking about Hunter Biden, who I think is garbage, if he is truly a drug addict, I think addiction is really sad and should be talked about as such and not always just like widely mocked or whatever. But the thing with Ezra, from what I gather, is they've done some very bad things with zero accountability. Yes. Is that kind of correct?
They keep referring to the legal issues here, but that's the least of the things that people are upset about. It's the stuff talking to children. It's
he does this. There's like a pattern of behavior that isn't quite, let's say, indictable. Like you couldn't get charged for it, but it's not okay. And that to me just means that there is something bad and illegal going on behind the scenes. So he has that like girl who he met when she was like 12, who's now a non-binary person, who then at 18 dropped out of school to go live with him. And it's like 18 can't stop it. Like it's like the ick. Like, you know, something is off, but that's what to me is the most disturbing. I think you're right. Like I wouldn't want to ever like humiliate someone or make fun of someone
look at that
who really is going through a crisis, but this person appears to be very in control of their behavior enough
to the
point where they are able to hide what would really be disturbing.
Yeah, and I didn't really know a ton of those stories, but you know, the word grooming gets thrown around so liberally nowadays, and sometimes it's ridiculous, but that is the exact definition, is if you are talking to a girl when that girl is 12 years old and then suddenly when she like turns 18,
flew her to London by herself when
she was I believe she was with like a group from her tribe.
I don't know, man. There is like weird behavior going on.
Dude, if a girl hits me up on Instagram and her bio says like 19, I'm like, I am about to block. I don't trust any of that. I don't want anything near anyone who is.
I used to hate it when people be like, well, 18 is only just 17 plus like 366 days. And it's like, cool. Don't talk to them either.
Yeah,
like,
but also
just keep going for a while.
Dude, when you get to my age, 40, 18, I talk to an 18-year-old and I'm like, you're a child. I talk to a 22-year-old and I'm like, you're a child.
I'm going to read the Miller's apology and explanation, which is really just his representatives and speechwriters' apology and explanation.
Okay, and then I have an immediate comment afterwards.
Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I want to know who that. I ask who that is. It seems to be that Ezra Miller's the one causing
He himself is the crisis.
He's the crisis. I now understand that I am suffering a complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment, Miller says. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior and am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage of my life.
Okay. I think he didn't read this because he doesn't want to. I think that this statement is being authorized for him.
Oh, yeah.
And even the language here, like, I apologize to everyone who was alarmed and upset by my behavior. It's like, I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, that you worried about me. But he's not actually sorry for the harm that he caused or for his behavior that
I'm sorry that you were worried about me,
yeah.
not that I hurt other people.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Also,
I mean, that's already, if you hired someone to write that, you're
That's
like
a publicist.
Yeah, even that publicist dropped the ball.
Where
it's like the story isn't.
But they had to get him to put it out.
Right. But the idea that the story is millions worried about Ezra Miller is like, no, we're worried about the maybe girls you're hurting.
Yeah, homie, I don't think you understand what we're worried about.
Right. It's not you, bud.
We wanted
it's
you
maybe
to
the
leave
Flash movie.
Hawaii. Like, we wanted you to leave an entire state alone. That
Jason
was the joke.
Momoa was about to fly to Hawaii to remove you physically.
That would be hilarious.
We were saying
that's Aquaman. That's the new plot.
That would be much funnier.
So between this, there's the story with the woman in Berlin. There's the story with
bars in Iceland.
The bars in Iceland. There's the bars in Hawaii.
And are these all like similar, like preying on like younger girls?
Or like throwing chairs at people, like women.
But that's the least of it. It's first it's the abuse of language where a biological male says that they are non-binary and demands a female be the one that search him as a cop. When all the stories about them are Ezra Miller having sex with females, not men.
By the way, I said this.
He's emotionally and psychologically manipulative, and to me, in my personal opinion, I believe perfectly within his right mind.
Well, he could have a really serious personality disorder. Like, that is a complicated mental health decision, but it doesn't excuse you from knowing right from wrong, right? He is not schizophrenic. He's not, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
He's not, like, hallucinating. He is completely aware. He might be an extreme narcissist. He might be a sociopath, but he is not having some sort of public nervous breakdown. This is very different from the way he's portraying it.
No. That's exactly what I was going to say about being a narcissist and sociopath. Luckily, I make more money than you. But I'm just kidding.
Where is Chris Pratt when I need him?
Where's the rope swing?
He like literally appears in the window in like his Jurassic World outfit with the whip.
I would faint. I totally agree with you. And also, it is so. I feel like I've probably said this before, but a lot of stuff that is going mainstream when it comes to non-binary people is this kind of garbage, right? Or the awful story about, Boston Medical and like the kids and stuff like that. There are also a lot of like pretty cool, fine trans people out there. Yeah. And if you care about your community, the idea that this piece of garbage would be...
He shouldn't be representing your community.
Yes, would be using it to essentially just be a complete creep to women, or the trans people who are just, advocating these like child surgeries and stuff. It's like, man, you're just making it so much harder for the normal people in your community just to live a life. Because right now, with all the headlines we're seeing about trans people, I think there are a lot of people who just assume that like there's just a trans army looking to like molest children. And it's like, well, no, there's also just some trans people who just want to like hang out and be trans.
Here's Holly Bennett. This is some of the people that were talking about this. Says, everyone loves to hate Chris Pratt, but he went to bat for Bryce Dallas Howard and doesn't seem to actually do anything wrong. That's not true. He's like vaguely Catholic and Christian, and that's bad to Twitter.
He legitimately makes me want to be Christian.
Jared Leto is hitting on any girl under 18, while Ezra Miller just seems to be a walking felony at this point. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to source bro you with the claims about Jared Leto. I
can tell you I don't like him as an actor.
Yeah.
And he seems
the cult
like a
leader,
bad
Jared Leto?
person.
Yes, the cult leader, Jared Leto. I like the idea that Ezra Miller has like a picture of Jared Leto behind him of like his aspirational cult
No, I
icon.
like the idea that they're like negotiating a merger right now. And Ezra Miller is like, look, I might have to step away from my followers for a bit for non-specific reasons.
Ezra Leto.
Could you take them over for a bit? And he's like, well, we're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Ezra Leto sounds like a dessert.
They're trying to figure out who gets top billing at whatever cult thing in Croatia.
They're like, you know what? Bring in Chris Pratt to negotiate this. Rope swing.
You
Ezra
think
Miller
Chris Pratt would stand for this?
No, of course he would, because he's a good Christian
He's
boy.
good man.
He's a good Christian man.
He would go up to Ezra Miller and he'd wag his finger at him like
No.
this.
Shame.
Ezra Miller out here kidnapping
you.
folks and whatnot, then just turns around and is like, oh yeah, my bad, y'all.
I'm having an issue.
Who said that?
It was a dude on Twitter.
Oh,
It was like,
amazing.
it's like he's out here kidnapping people.
Out
He's
here-
my bad.
Out
Sorry.
here kidnapping is very funny.
Yes. So, it says, seeing what Will Smith did versus what Ezra Miller did and then comparing the repercussions of both of them is perceived as well. That's true. All Will Smith did was get cucked by his wife and then slap somebody.
Yeah.
And Ezra Miller's out here just like literally like a super villain in the making, and it is what it is. Now, here's the funny thing. Average people, meaning regular people who don't read this stuff,
So people
have
less
no
than us.
idea that this stuff is going on. They do not. Right. The average person does not. So this movie's going to make great money because A, the normies will go see it because they don't know this is going on, and B, people who are morbid like me and Mary will go watch it purely for the spectacle.
Well,
of like
Right.
But how much money do you think it'll make in comparison to everything else? Because I don't think this movie on its own. I haven't seen any trailers where because they're not releasing it, right? They can't do any.
Wait, is this supposed to come out soon?
Next year.
Yeah,
Wow.
Like they
All right,
can't do any media tour or hype for it because then you have to talk about Ezra Miller, and they can't talk about Ezra Miller right now, and so they're losing a chance to push it. Like I think people will miss this movie as a result.
They got to do what when Conor McGregor fought Khabib, and there was a lot of buildup, and Conor was at the height of his fame, and Conor threw a bike rack through a bus. And Conor got arrested. And it was bad. And people were like, Conor should never fight again. This is a terrible example, whatever. When they did the press package for Conor versus Khabib, you know what was in the press package? That. And it was him being arrested.
They can't do that with this.
Yes,
they
they
can't
can.
do that.
Yes, they can.
From like from groomer to zoomer or something like that. Like, is that what they're going to do?
That makes it worse. That sounds creepier.
See, you just did it. You just said we can't do it, and then you did it.
It's like this is one of those things where
This is masterful.
If you let it sit for like 6 months to a year, first of all, the media. We know for a fact that the media will ask Bryce Dallas Howard about whether she made enough money. Will they actually do their job and be like, "Hey, what about all those kids you were creeping on?" Are they going to do that? No. The media will
also
take,
because when
Access
you do,
Media will take their marching orders and they won't say a thing.
Yeah. Well, part of it is like when you do these tours, you can say like, "I won't talk about this."
Yeah.
Right.
And the idea is like you could try it anyways, but then you might not be able to come to get access to whatever else.
By the
you
way,
need to.
I was very much kidding you guys. I think Ezra Miller's a bad person. Just to be very clear.
Ezra Miller's #1 fan. You heard it here
A
first.
year?
No.
If we're talking a year from now, and
You're like, he just has some good ideas.
If-
I've read his ideology. That manifesto he was passing out. Sorry, Brett.
if Miller manages to avoid women, karaoke bars, Hawaii,
Yep.
and Berlin, and manages to make it a year without anything bad happening, this movie will come out and nothing will happen. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that sucks, but that's the way of the world.
What's going to be so funny is when the movie is bad because it's DC,
won't be bad. It'll
and
probably-
then they did all of this stuff. I mean, The
It's
Flash
funnier
to
if
me,
it's the best of
I will. The Flash was the most interesting to me in Justice League.
Yeah. It's funnier if it ends up being the best of all the movies, and then everyone's like, "Crap, we're stuck now."
Everyone's like, you know what? Let's just let him get away with it. It's like Woody Allen. You're like, well, I mean, the movies are still classics.
That's the crap. That's what sucks though. That's what would happen in Hollywood. They'll let it go. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.